Let's get started. Welcome to Morning Journal, session number 396. It's April 1st as we are streaming and recording this. Glad we made it. We're into the second quarter of the year officially. Hopefully 2025 has proceeded in your life in a way that is, there's some positive things that you can reflect on over the first quarter of the year. Personally for you, uh, within the realm of the things where you can operate and have control. I hope you've seen some growth and some possibilities open up for you over the course of these first couple months. We're going to start the session, as we often do, with a way to pull ourselves into the current moment by simply noticing. Our opening prompt, Right Now I Notice, gives you an invitation to check in with your current status, with your current environment. What are you noticing right now? Mez is right now. I notice that my journal has been very full this year. Well, I guess that is a testament to your habit of noticing. I think when we have a lot to say in those private spaces of reflection, that means that we are seeing things worth commenting on and trying to find a way and a place to process things. It could be just by nature of the pace of life around you, both personally and more broadly, or it could just be a function of you being willing to grapple with things in a different way. So Kaloli says, right now I notice the silence of the room I'm in. Noticing the silence of the room I'm in. It's very quiet. Sometimes silence is a welcome break from everything that's going on, but sometimes silence can be a little unsettling. I know there are times, even now, there are times where, silence is a bit much for me to endure. I feel like I need to fill the sound space with something, whether it's a deposition, some dry listening material that is not too, it's engaging, but in a way that allows me to just latch on here and there, and avoid what comes into the silence. But when things are when I'm in the right place, then the silence is a welcome space. We have to have the capacity to allow our minds to rest in silence sometimes, to hear ourselves. Because if there's always something coming in, we might not hear ourselves that often. So just for a minute, being able to enjoy the silence that you're in right now, it could be a good thing. So let's see, we're going to talk about, for our first prompt, as we are noticing, one really structured way of noticing is to do something of an inventory. An inventory in a work context is often an unpleasant necessity. You got to do it, just so that you know what you got. It's tedious. But if you don't have an inventory, you don't know what you have and you don't know what you need. So sometimes we do inventories coming from a place of lack, looking for what's missing. But in this case, I want you to do an inventory to find what you have more than enough of. Sometimes we might feel deprived, or that we are, we are captivated by or distracted by what we think we're missing. But I invite you in this case to consider what you might have more than enough of, to try to tap into some sort of sense of abundance as you consider what's going on around you. So we're noticing, so you can notice internally, externally, and consider the question, consider the prompt. What do I have more than enough of? So Tomosity says, I have more than enough time and I'm misusing it. I have more than enough time and I'm misusing it. I think the experience of time poverty is, something that we all experience. We never feel as though we have enough time. But then when we take a look at how we're using it, we might come to a different conclusion. Um, it's very hard to get a handle on what is the best use of right now. And is what's happening for me, is what I'm doing right now enough? Is it sufficient? Is the task at hand sufficient for the moment that I'm inhabiting right now? So Mez says, I have more than enough old memories in my environment to want to clear them to make new ones. That's a very prescient response given where the conversation is going. So, memories in your environment. So, I think it's interesting that you feel like where your memories exist, you're not speaking of what's going on inside of you. You're speaking of what you can see around you. Where do we hold those old memories? Most of mine are just kind of buried somewhere. I don't have a lot of visible tokens of old memories. I have to actively seek them out and recall them. But it's useful in your environment to, as we spoke about in the previous session, talked about having things in your environment that remind you of your best self. Sometimes the things that we have in our environment tie us to a version of ourselves that we're trying to move on from, that we're trying to grow beyond. So you have more than enough old memories in your environment so that you might want to think about making space for some new ones. And Mez set us up perfectly for the next prompt, which is, what is one thing I can do to improve my immediate environment? Making our environment better. It could be your physical space. Of course, your environment is also an internal state. Your body is an environment. Your relationships are a type of environment. So what's one thing you can do to improve your immediate environment? For Mez kind of already answered that. Maybe clear space for some new memories. Tomosity says, at this moment, I'm sweeping and I plan on tidying the kitchen. In the session now, we're talking about things that we can do, one thing we can do to improve our immediate environment. Maybe it's a concrete thing. Maybe you're looking at a little mess that you can clean up right now. Sometimes our environments are our relationships. Maybe there's a message you can send or a call that you can make that can improve that environment. So for Mez, I can improve my immediate environment by clearing my desk, though it seems futile. Don't underestimate the power of clearing that desk. That's another way of expressing what you said earlier about creating a space for new memories. You know, I think a lot of times, rather than clearing things, we will just try to reorganize things. Um, when what's really required is just completely moving it out of the way and start from zero and just add back what you need. We started the session by noticing, recognizing that without judgment, observing what's going on around us, what's going on inside our heads, what we are feeling in our bodies. Just noticing it without judgment is a great starting point to slow things down and give you a sense that this moment is a sufficient thing for you to be concerned about. It can slow down some of the time traveling that we do when we just note what we are experiencing right now. From that point, we consider the idea of doing some sort of inventory. What do I have more than enough of? So there are a few ways that we can, there are a few ways that we can hold that from. In one sense, a lot of times we feel that we are deprived or we are lacking and we are focused on what we're missing. So acknowledging what you have more than enough of is a way to move beyond that tendency to feel that you are lacking. Not that there aren't things that would improve your situation, not that there aren't things that are missing, but when we focus on what we have more than enough of, we focus on abundance, then it can lead us to a certain level of gratitude. On the other side of that prompt, we recognize the things that we have more than enough of give us an opportunity to see what we might be able to give. Maybe there's something that we can share with others because we are in a place of abundance. We looked at our immediate environment, looking around at your immediate environment, considering the environments that are closest to you at this moment is something that perhaps you can get a handle on, something that's within your power to address. Um, Making a little improvement there can do a lot to elevate your mood. For one, it'll make you feel better, and also it just gives you that sense of I can have an impact on the circumstances of my life. Me clearing this space, me making me addressing my immediate needs in a way that says I care about myself, that can sort of shift your sense that yeah, I can actually make a difference even in this little way. I can shift things even in this little way. So that's where we start. The no matter how big the problem is or how big the issue is, it all starts with what is immediately at hand and how we choose to address it. So I think that about does it. That about wraps it up. I really appreciate you all for coming through. It's great to see you all this morning, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.